Yeah, what we're going to be doing today, for those of you who are new to the channel, is for the last, I would say, year or so, I've been slowly working on a personal project, which is a one-shot, 60-second long piece, which is very parkour anime style, 90s anime style inspired. And we're just going to go through the process. So up to this point, we've done all the planning process, all my thumbnails have been done, all the camera work has been mostly refined. But then that might change a little bit as we go through animation. We'll see how it goes, because there's only so much you can plan ahead. So what I can do is I can play what we've been doing recently, and then I'll show you where we're progressing through. But essentially, the premise of the piece, for those of you who weren't in the last stream, is that we have an assassin who's taken out somebody off screen at the beginning of the shot, and then she's been given a warning sign to say that she's been alerted and she's been exposed. And so now she's trying to maneuver through this big cyber city to try and avoid the police, which are robots, which you'll see in a moment. But the main inspiration came from the idea of animating to sound. So instead of having the music kind of being laid in afterwards, the music is the forefront of the piece. It's almost like, I would argue, the music itself is the main character, and then the person we're watching on screen is the second character. So all of the movements are intentionally, hopefully if I do it correctly, are completely synchronized to the music that you're hearing. So all the accents and the beats are synchronized to the animation itself. And then the inspiration aesthetically comes from like my taste in animation that I've liked for many years, which is, like I mentioned, 90s anime. So we're looking at Akira, Ghost in the Shell, other primary inspirations, but there are a few others in there that kind of sprinkled within. Yeah, what we're going to do is I'll play through what I've got so far that we've been working on recently, which we did in the last stream, and then from there we can continue to block out the shot. So the part that we did last week was around here to here. So we didn't do too much progress, but it was very spontaneous. Like, I had an idea of the beats that I wanted to happen in the animation, but I didn't know exactly what execution I would do. So there's a lot of kind of improvising and experimenting and seeing what feels right. But I felt like I was quite happy with the results at this stage. And then maybe I'll tweak things as I go in later. Once we start blocking the whole thing out and start refining things more, then we'll go back in. But this section is what we did the last stream. So it was mostly on the main character, which I've called Major, which is a reference to Ghost in the Shell. Not that that's going to be part of the scene, but you'd notice it. I might even put it on, you'll see in a moment, but there's also a little health bot down here that kind of projects this, like it's going to be a warning poster that they project on the wall. And on the wall, I might put the word Major, so that there's a little reference in there. So there's going to be lots of references sprinkled in as we go through. I have a couple of plans for that stuff. But yeah, this section here where she kind of swings, comes around, kind of holds in this beat, and then goes into her steps, was all the beats for the steps were always planned, but the actual process of this section here was all very improvised. And it was just kind of feeling it out and see what came to mind in the moment. So yeah, the next section is going to be quite exciting. It's going to be a little bit more technical, but we'll see how far we get today, and then we may do a continuation of this in the next stream. Where is the environment from? That's a great question. I can quickly grab that for us now before we get started. But this is the environment, which was on CG Trader, and you can see it's very in-depth. So a lot of this I've actually hidden. I do have it in reference layers, but obviously when I'm working with it, I'm not going to use it all at once because it's just going to make the scene slower. But the idea is that, and call me crazy, which it is, I am crazy, but I do intend to paint light texture most of this. At least the foreground elements, I'm going to do detailed textures, and maybe I'll do like lower definition the further away it gets, so that we're not stealing our attention. But I've almost made a big district with duplications of a lot of these scenes, and then made like a big city, and then I've got some cars that are in here as well, which I'm going to have them like flying around. I did go through a big process of trying to find environments, and I was looking through. Originally, I wanted it to kind of be in like an industrial estate where it was like almost like a university campus or something, and it was going to be a character that's like parkouring through those areas, because typically in parkour that's the type of stuff they try and find in reality. But then over time, I struggled to find the set that I could make functional for Maya. There were some, but they were very. I was using a different program to try and get them in, so it got quite tedious. And then I found this, and I thought actually that's relatively affordable, so I went with this instead, and it kind of inspired the whole 90s anime thing. So everything kind of came together in the end. This section in here. So we've got up to number 4 here, where we're kind of standing on the beam. Then she's going to drop down, and she's going to vault herself down onto the platform where the robot is. The one in red is actually the robot. And then she's going to climb on top of him, and then do this like bicycle swing kick, and then like knock the robot's head off, and then the robot's body is going to fall down a little hole beside the edge of the building. So it's going to be quite techy, like I say. I'll probably be trying to get a lot of the key poses in to begin with, and then if we have time, we may flesh some stuff out. But again, I don't really go in with this with an intention of, this is what I'm going to achieve today. I kind of just keep working at it, keep cooking, and then I'll see how far I get each time. So it may take more than one session, but we'll see how far we get. So what I've got so far, this is our robot, is here. So we've got the bum 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 as she does the steps, and then there's this bong, and then a drop. So I need to listen to the sound quite carefully and find where my beats are for where I want things to land, because she's going to do this little side hop and then drop down. So by this stage here is where she's going to be on the ground. So I need to find out my rhythm as I'm going through this. So I know in here for certain, I'm going to have a key where we do the little jump and hang time. And then here, this sound is where she's going to land onto the railing. And then this is where she's in the air. So I'm just setting out my keys for where I want everything to be laid out. I'm just going to check my ball here, because I want to see... I've got focus ball, that's not what I'm looking for. Where's my temp ball? Here we go. I want to see where the landings are. So I have... This is my layout character. Just a ball to bait to lay it out. So the thing is, I don't want to go too slow through this. I kind of want her to land and then kind of run straight into it. So you get that nice rhythm of the hang time in the air. Then we land and come through into the run. That way there's no real time for the robot to respond. And right now, the timing is we're slowing down quite a lot in this section here. It's not too bad, but maybe it needs a little bit more. It needs to be a little bit faster. So actually I have the boom is where it comes through. So I may need to delay the camera here. Because right now I have her jump here. So this can be a little antic. Jump in the air, come down. So this is almost the breakdown. This is the swing. Comes through into the air, then we land down, and then roll through here. So this is now our antic pose. Okay, so I think the timing should work pretty well. We've got the layout. This is why I do the ball pass, because it kind of helps figure out my timing and my staging, and then I can use that as a base. So I may want to delay the camera a little bit because right now we're kind of losing our character up here. So I don't want to tweak the cameras too much, but I'm going to unlock the camera and just see what I can do. I might be able to just go in the camera here and delay some of this. Just a little bit. I think it's mostly just in our translation Y. We just want to knock this down and delay it. So I may offset slightly some of this. So that we stay up a little bit higher for longer. That's already better. That kind of already fixed my issue just by delaying that TY. So now she kind of stays in frame and then she goes down and she's still leading that action and using the space a little bit more. So I think that already helped. So we can lock the camera again, make sure I'm saving it, and then yeah, we can do some blocking. So again, I don't really have too much. This is why I like this process. You're going to see me improvising quite a lot. Because I have some idea of posing, but also I don't want it to be too repetitive. And right now, in my thumbnails, they do kind of feel a bit repetitive. When I look at this pose here, especially, this is very similar to a pose we had earlier, which I can't find for the life of me right now. Where are you? Well, it feels similar to this one, right? So 2 and 6 feel quite similar. So if I were to go back earlier, you might see a similar pose like that. And I want to kind of avoid that. So I'm trying to think of a way that I can have them swing on this beam, which is going to be our hang time pose in here. And I'll find a pose that's kind of interesting. And a lot of the time we're catching with our arms. I wonder if there's a way to catch with the legs whilst not making that feel too weird, but maybe it'll feel a bit too off. So I'm curious what would be our best option here. I think it could be cool. We can try with the legs. Let's try it first, and then we'll see how we go. So she's gonna jump. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. Right, so I may have to have her upside down in this pose. So she's gonna jump down. Hey, how's it going? Thank you for joining the chat. So let's have her drop down. And then I do need to flip. So she's going to come down in this direction. She's going to be somewhere over here. And then I've got to do a similar angle for the feet. The feet also need to do... They came down. Trying to think how to... Coming down. So is that her right leg or her... That's her left leg. So her left leg is also going to do the 360. This is where gimbal can get quite crazy. So I'll probably have to do a bit of cleanup as I'm going through. But for now... So you're going to hear some ads in the lo-fi every now and then. I'll bring that foot here. Let's just get it into a rough place and then we can build the pose as we're going. Let's turn off our temple for now. And then this leg also is going to come upside down. Something like this. So I want to see if I can kind of hook her legs around this piping. And then that's what's going to swing her through. Again, I'm being very experimental. I have no idea how this is going to feel, but it'll be interesting. And we can look at it and be like, Aaron, that's actually quite janky. Let's fix that. We'll see how we go. So I want to wrap her, I want to kind of like wrap her feet around this. And then let's remove any of the foot roll that we have on these parts. The same on the other side, just in case. Now, that foot's a bit too wrapped around. And we'll point the knees. So I'll try and see if I can get a nice C shape in here. So as we're coming through, I'm trying to think of what's going to be leading the spine as we come around. Because we're doing more of a vertical... something like this. It might be a reversal spine, then it kind of comes through. I'm really trying to think of this rotation now, because this one's going to be quite... like, I did say this is going to be techie. So, we're coming up. We're going to grab with the legs, swing around. Yeah, so I think this should work. I want to kind of keep her... I could actually have her leg really... her head really dragged behind here. And then let's just reset the spine. And then we can do it a bit more manually. So I really want to push that lead and that drag. It's getting a bit too far there on the hips. Trying to find the right angles. So I want to keep this line of action. Let's try something like this. We'll give it a little bit more flow. Then I can always add some bend bones on the legs themselves to give it that nice curvature. If you guys have any questions as I'm doing this, even just about what I've done before this or planning or whatever it might be, it just, you know, we can just have a chat as well. It doesn't have to be related to this. Feel free to comment because, you know, I like to interact with you guys. Has anyone seen a secret level yet? So we're dragging the arms behind. I want to see... okay, so this is the rotation on the elbow, I think. Or is it this way? Might be in the Y? Let me check. Are we in the Y? Yeah, it's in the Y. So it's this. Alright, go. Bring the shoulder up. So I'm just pushing this line of action right now, but as I kind of build in more of the in-betweens and stuff, I might be able to break up this stuff a little bit more and give it a bit more like right now I'm just doing a lot of overlap, which is a good point of like, it's a good template to start from, but maybe it will need tweaking as we go through. So dragging the hands. We'll start with this, and then we'll see how we get along, because I may end up tweaking some of this as we go through. So I know that I want to have a little antic in here. I kind of want it to feel like she just does this very nonchalant, like she's very calculated. So as she jumps, it's going to be very minimal. She almost just like does a side shimmy and then goes into it. So it makes it feel like she's done this 1,000 times rather than like really having to labor herself all the time. So I'm going to do a little bit of an antic to the side. I want to go round the back. Get a little bit of drag. I want it to be pretty minimal, the antic. Like it's going to be really small. Boom. And then this is our apex. As we did a little hop. So now we're going off to the side. So I may bunch the legs up, get that nice compression with the legs. And then we might be able to get a bit of a reversal in the spine, so I'll reset all the spine as well. Lean her a bit forward. The upper half is definitely going to do more influence in here. Keep her head a bit upright. So, do I have the arms drag here? Again, I kind of want to avoid territory where I'm copying previous actions, because it's very easy when you're being spontaneous. It's very easy to have like a base where you're like, oh yeah, this is what's familiar to me, so I'm just going to repeat a similar action. But I kind of want to avoid that where possible. So I'm going to experiment and we'll see what we come up with. Just thinking about silhouettes. Down. Up. I might keep this arm out for a bit longer. And then just soften that shoulder. Help with the flow of the pose. So we're dragging one part but not the other. Trying to keep it quite graphic as well, where I can. And then again, let's reset all these feet controls. Get that nice. We can always push the line of action a little bit more on one side to camera, and then get more contrast in the legs. Try and keep it graphic. So we'll go with this for now. What do I do? What do I prefer or recommend for limbs, head, global or local space? I like global. I don't like local space, but it really depends. It's a great question. For me, it depends on the action. If I'm doing crazy somersaults, typically I would switch to FK, but it depends on the scenario. So in this case, everything's in local. You can see the head and the arms are in local because I'm doing a lot of swings and crazy rotations. But the legs, because they're making contact with different objects quite often, I've kept them in IK. But if they was in the air and I was doing a flip or something, then I would switch to FK. Rather than switching the space. But more typically, normally, if I was doing an acting shot or something that's not as crazy, like somersaulty and dynamic as this, I would be more inclined to put it all in world space, in global. So we've got our little down, then we come up, and then we're going to drop, and then we've got a breakdown in here. So this is the part where it's going to get interesting. So we have our antic, then we have our swing, but we need a breakdown in here, right? So I might actually have this come in a little earlier. So then we're hanging in the air, then here is a breakdown. This is where we hear the sound. So I'm going to have a breakdown in here, and this is where it's going to get pretty techie. So we'll see how this goes. I actually have a feeling I may need to go the opposite way. Yeah, I need to go the opposite way with my Z. So let me just go in here. My Z rotation on this key needs to go the opposite direction. So let's just plus this. Plus equals 360. So that way we should have the same pose here. But then when I in between, it will go the opposite way. When it decides it wants to. No? You're not going to do it for us? Oh, did it go back again? Hold on. I just plussed you. Let's try that again. Plus equals 360. Okay, thank you. Now let's go back. Why are you going back? Is my auto key turned off or something? That's so strange. Why is it plus equals 360? Try this again. Right, so we've moved our value. Okay, cool. Now, I just deselect it. Let's try again. Why has it gone back? It's reverting. That's so odd. I'm on the right control. When I use Tween Machine, why are you blending back the other way? That's very odd. Let's try this again. That shouldn't be happening. I don't understand that. Has anyone had this bug before? Maybe it's a Euler filter? No, because if I turn on Euler filter, it's not going to change the angles on the rotation. It's just the direction I want it to change. So I'm going to have to do this manually. But I don't know why it's doing that. That's really strange. My computer is frozen. Just give it a second. Right, here we go. We're back. Because if I go here, see, this is the direction it should go in because we're blending, right, in Tween Machine. There we go. It works this time. Don't know what's happening there. I think it's because it was color coding some of these keys and sometimes they get a bit broken. But anyway, we're back. So I'm going to have him drop. Now, I want to get some nice weight in there. So I actually, do I want to ease in or out of this? I guess we can go in between, maybe slightly in so that we have more of an acceleration. I'm trying to think now. Yeah, we want to, on the sound, we want to be easing in. So I'm going to have that body come out, but I don't want it to swing yet. So I'm going to reduce the rotation because I don't want that leg to hook in just yet. So this is coming into here. This leg's going to come around later. So this foot's going to be here, still coming down. I want that leg to lead a bit more. So this leg's going to hook in. That leg needs to come around kind of in a bank. I think like this. And then we've got our character and camera. Let's see what we can do. So how do I need to pose this? I'm gonna twist the body. Let's drag the spine back still. I think it'll be around this kind of angle. Let's keep that leg wrapping around. This is going to be a weird... Yeah, this is where improvising isn't always the best solution, guys. But I like challenges like this, where we have to figure it out as we're going through. So I could always delay that leg so that we get one lead. And then I want that to compress this way. Do we drag the head a little bit in here? Let's see what the neck is doing before I break the anatomy. Too much? Then we come around to this side. Do I need to twist the body? Oh, this is interesting. I may need to do a do I need to do a 360? So we're going to come around like this, drag behind, and come through. So I'm going to have this body coming back a bit. This is slightly playing with my mind, the execution of this. So let's drag the arms. So we're kind of getting this S-shape line of action right now, which I can probably complement a bit more in a moment. Yeah, I don't know what that bug is. It's really weird. I don't know what was happening. I think it's... So there's a thing on Animbots where it has like color coding keys, and sometimes the keys, when they change color, they have like a specific functionality. You might be able to remove that. I'm not quite sure how it works. But yeah, we'll see. Now, do I want to... We'll keep it like this for now, and I want to see how I break it down. And again, I can go in and refine these poses later. I just want to get like the core functionality working so that I'm not curating these nice poses and then I have to scrap them. So as we ease in here... Right, so we're coming back and around. So I want to arc the body. And then we're going to swing back. I don't want to get too far into the rotation X reversal yet, so I want to drag that behind. So I'm going to compress the spine. Drive with the hips as we're coming back. Have I broken that hand? No, that hand should be this way. Then we're going to drag the arm as well. Might break the elbow. In here. Just to get that flow going around. And then we'll see what the legs are doing. So this leg is this the one before or after? That's the one after. So this one's going to come around and hook in. This one needs to come out. I have a feeling the root needs to come down more. So this leg is going to come, foot needs to come out like this. And then this leg is almost locked in at this stage. It's wrapping around. Maybe something like that has a bit more of a flow to it. And then I can always bend the curvature just a little bit to help suggest the flow. Then I can do the same on the other leg. Maybe connect the hips up a bit more. So we're coming round. And then we're going to be passing through. But I want to keep it back for longer. And then we're going to follow through on the rotation. Then we're coming through. So this is where we're coming around now. Back round, then come through. starting to work. Let's drag the chest and the arms. I want to try and see if there is something that I could do that's maybe more interesting with the arms, but we can always experiment with that later. I just want to see if I can get that swing working first. This seems to be working. I just need to get a bit more weight in there. Because this is where we're passing through. And that leg needs to be locked in now. Already gives us a little bit more weight next to the hips. That's working a bit better. Comes down, swings, and catches. So there's a lot of drag in there. That's kind of what makes it fun, right? So now as we're coming through, I almost want to try to think how I want to resolve this. Does she come back around so we just do a full 60 in the Y, or do I incorporate something a little bit more techie where she kind of corrects herself in the twist as she comes through? So at this stage, she kind of vaults back up into a twist and land. I could do that, but then maybe am I overspinning? Yeah, this is literally a pendulum assignment. You're right. So we're coming around. It would make sense if we just kind of kept that momentum rolling through. I'm just wondering if there's a more interesting thing to do here. Because I could almost have her continue, because you can see her head here. I can almost twist her chest more, and then we're resolving more into an upright twist. You'll see where I'm going with this. So we're coming around, and then we're going to correct ourselves upwards. So in this apex, here, we're going to find out where we should be placed, because we have our ball. So we should be there. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back upright. I think we're going to come round. So we're twisting. We're going to do... Oh, this is hard. So we're twisting. Like this. Around. So we'll do a 3. And then an X. I think. So we're beginning to lead up more with the head and the chest. So we're doing a switch in the lead mid-swing, essentially. So if I now go into the spine, let's reset all of this. Same for the head, let's reset those. And then let's arch our spine forward. Round, twist, and up. So now, as I'm releasing the legs, this is going to be tricky as well. That's her left leg. God. Yeah, it's going to be tough. That leg's going to have to come back, I think. Whereas the right one can release earlier. Do I want to keep the reversal in the spine? Maybe I can arch it backwards. That could be more interesting. Swing around. Yeah, let's try it. Because then we could do a roll and climb, maybe. We haven't done a roll yet. So why not? I'm thinking out loud. That's why I'm pausing. If I'm doing random pauses where it's not very interesting to watch, I'm in my own headspace. So what if we did a full-on arch back pose here? And then keep it in that graphic sensibilities that we've been doing so far. Do I drag that leg behind? Maybe we keep the feet together. I may have to cheat that leg in here just to get the pose working. Something like this is a bit more graphic. And then I can complement the arch of the spine. Now, because we're doing a roll, I do wonder, do we... I'm breaking that shoulder quite a lot there. I'm wondering, do we lead with the arms or do we drag behind? Because we're coming from this drag. Do I come through? So maybe this one's a bit more to camera. And then this one's further out. Maybe something like this. Could be interesting. Yeah, I think this works. And then it would be nice to get a bit more curvature in the spine. I'm still not feeling that. I do have some hand poses saved, so we can always use those later as we build it in. Again, I'm not refining everything completely just yet. I think your gimbal master locked up here. Yeah, there's probably going to be a few areas where it gets a bit gimbally, but I have techniques to fix that stuff later, so I'm not too worried at this stage. But sure, as I start in-betweening, the benefit is I'm not going to be splining it, so it's a little bit more forgiving, and the actions are quite quick, so there shouldn't be too much. If I need to correct, it shouldn't be too painful, but for sure, like, I will need to go through and clean some stuff up. So we've come through now. Oh, I do need to bring the whole body forward. We got the pose, but we didn't get the... we didn't actually get the position correct. So she's coming through here. May need to change the direction slightly. Might be able to push the legs back a little bit. We'll try something like this, and we'll kind of play as we begin to in-between. We'll see how it feels. And then we want to land coming around and up. And then we're going to dive in. Now, do I do a roll here? Because I do have some reference. You can see what I need to travel into later. So let me just save this. So in theory, is my ref going to show up? There you go. So you can see it here in the top right corner. So I have him jump and climb onto this person's shoulders, then push off the shoulders off this wall, and then does a kick. But you can see in my thumbnailing where that's going on. So we need to get into this position, essentially. So is there going to be enough time to do a roll into that, or do I do something different, is the question. I worry that a roll might be... we may not have enough time. And I don't want to land straight onto the shoulders. I like the idea of running up the body. There is a fair bit of time. Ooh, let's try it. You never know until you try things, right? We have to be willing to scrap stuff as we go through. So let's take this. And then we're going to land into a roll. I'm still not convinced. Unless I land into it already on her back. That's the only real thing I can think of. So she tucks in with her arms. And I think that's fun, because then you kind of get this nice whoa, whoop, 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 kind of feeling. So we hang in the top, then we tuck in early. And then that way you get this like faster action by the time you get into the contact. So it breaks up the rhythm a bit more. So let's try it. So I'm already going to have her, by the time we land, in other words, she's already going to be quite upright. She's already going to kind of be on the back here, on the landing. We're going to be arching the spine forwards. The legs will already be landing. I want to keep them quite tucked in. Maybe have one straight leg. I'm trying to think. Because she needs to already be in the contact position to then push off straight into the roll. So I don't want to messy up my clarity on my posing too much. That's my only concern at this stage. I think this could work. It might be better. Do I keep the leg tucked in? Behind? Maybe it's already landed and she's on her knee? Maybe that could work. So let's put the foot outwards. Oh, my Maya decided to stop. Did I break something? Nope. I just selected something by accident. Let's save, it scared me. So I'm going to put the foot on the floor. I have to reposition the root slightly. So we're landing on the leg. Again, I'm not quite sure how this is going to work just yet, but we're playing it a little bit by ear for now. And then let's get a bit of that foot contact in there. I don't like this negative space on that leg. I kind of want to simplify everything as much as I can. Definitely need to get a big lead on the spine though. And these arms are already going to come through. So I wonder if I have them already contacting the ground. Let's reset her shoulders. and then drop them down. So I can already have, like, again, I'm just kind of, as it's interesting because as you kind of position things around, you get a feel for like different positions. Now I don't have an FKI case, which I don't think, or do I? I don't think I do. So what I'm going to do is copy this position, switch it to FK. Aha, it's in, like, using different rigs all the time. It's like trying to remember how the controls work. So this is her right arm. That needs to go to IK. Oh, did it switch for me? No? Hold on. Try that again. Switch to IK. There we go. And then if I paste that position, there we go. So that she lands holding on to the edge of this ledge. And then I can make a grip pose for that hand later. Try to find an interesting position that's still clear. And then I'll do a similar thing with the other hand. So this hand, let's get a rough position. So she's just holding either side of this pillar essentially. So then we can copy that position. Then we'll do the switch. And then paste that. Voila! So now we've got an IK. Right, so now we've got to figure out the in-betweens. So we've got our main base working for the most part. And then she's going to climb up. So from this pose, she'll probably push off her legs and lead in, so we can get, again, a nice reversal in the spine. So we're leading through with the chest. She comes around. Now we'll probably push off of that back foot. So this leg will pass through. Reset the feet, toe. Make sure we get that knee coming out. Then this foot is going to need some foot roll on it. Lead up with the head. Trying to push lines of action where I see them. And then these arms at this stage will be back into FK. So I can, if I just switch these, they should be in a similar position to where they were before. Yeah. I might keep them dragging just for that little bit longer through here. I like the idea of this hand complementing the flow a bit more. And then this hand. Maybe something like this. Again, I'm just improvising for now, but I can layer this stuff in later as I go. I can clean this stuff up. So now I want to go through and add some in-betweens just so that I understand how that mechanic and that timing is going to work. Because there's some of this stuff is quite broad in here. So I'm going to push this a little earlier so we get some hang time in here as we jump up. Now, I'm going to have this leg lead up. We'll keep that one off the ground. And then that can foot roll. I might have it actually come off, but then we're pushing off like this. Then we're switching up the leg timing. That hand comes down, then drags up. I'm getting this weird bug as well with the hands, where sometimes they don't stay in position. You can also see it flicker. I don't know if that's because I'm like in parallel or DG or something. I can always try changing it, as long as it doesn't crash my scene. Let's go back to parallel. We'll see if it makes a difference. So when I save this now... Yeah, then it saved it. Sometimes there's bugs like that. So we're dragging the hands. It does feel like it's a bit of a bird in here, so I can always separate and lead up with a hand. Just to make it a bit more interesting. There you go. Bit more of a ripply effect now. Then we come down. Then in here, I do want to have an ease out. So we're coming down. And I can lead with one leg a bit more. So I want to feel that lead on one of those legs as that comes through. This leg needs to get a point down more. Might even be able to stretch the spine. I don't think we have IK, but I can translate. Then it comes through. Then as we come around, I think there's enough information in there. I think it might be a bit too slow though. Let's bring that earlier. Then this is our hang time area. And then this is where we're going to ease in. We're getting a little bit of a hang time in there. Yes, saving. Thank you. So we're coming around. This is where we was getting a bit techie with the twist. So we're coming through in here. As that comes around. this. The chest still wants to be leading. This is where we can potentially break the arms. Sorry, there's an advert again. Let's see what the legs are doing here. So they are going to have to release off of the piping there. But I don't want to break the anatomy too much. So we're going to have to follow through. It looks something like this. Whoa, what's going on with that foot? That's a new one. Whoa. Never seen that before. I'm not switching. Stretchy leg is turned off for some reason. There we go. That was very weird. I didn't turn that off. Kind of makes a pretty interesting pose though. I like the depth to it. Some of the anatomy looks like it's getting a bit broken. Do I do like a parallel line with the leg, the arm and the leg? And then I do want to see if I can drive the head a bit more forward. There's going to be quite a lot of hang time in here. So I don't want it to kill my momentum. That's my only issue. So I want to see if I can keep the apex moving, but we're tightening up the apex up the top still. So we're coming around. Now I do want to have the arms follow through at some point. So in here is where they would most likely follow through. I do like the arm back pose though. I guess they're going to have to hit that first. And then come through. So we hit an extreme early. Then they begin to ease out. So we're breaking up some of that timing in between. Now, do I have the legs dragged behind? Come round, down, then they kick up. That could be interesting. I want to see how it feels. And then we're coming through. So this is where we're going to have to get a big lead. This is what I was talking about earlier. As we ease out, I need to get a big lead on the hands tucking through. Hey, I have a question. What plugin do I use to make my keys go green? It's automatic. It's part of Animbot. They have their color keys. You can kind of see them down here. There's red and green. I can't remember exactly what their functionality does, but each color does have a purpose. But I'm using Tween Machine to change my spacing as I'm making my in-betweens, and automatically when I use Tween Machine in Animbot, it also changes the color of the key. So that's why it's doing that. But I don't utilize what that color actually means as a function once I go into it a bit more. But you can look into that if you're interested. I can't, like, it does slightly confuse me sometimes what those colors do, but they do actually have some really cool functionality. I just don't utilize it that much. Green is for the in-between. Yeah, but it has other functionality. Like there's a way that like the timing of the keys can change the structure of like when you use a retiming and you move a key, depending on the colors in between, it can also affect those. So it depends if you have it turned on or not, I think. But it's worth looking into. Is it for blending keys and Animbot? Knows it's creating it. Yeah, it's kind of to do with that. It has like a retiming functionality as well. But I can't exactly remember how you set it up. It needs a specific like infrastructure in order for it to work. But I can't remember what it does. But I could, to be honest, even though it's kind of nice to see when you're using Tween Machine or not, because I use it so often and in various places, sometimes I go back in to rework something. I almost would just prefer it if it stayed red. But I'm almost not. I kind of ignore the colors, to be honest. I just look at where the keys are in the timeline. So as we're coming down here, I want to keep everything up a little higher. And I really want to lead in with the spine. So in here, you're going to get a big lead. So these arms are going to tuck in and over. I'll do the same for both hands because they're going to reach and grab for those pillars, either side of that pillar. Let's get a bit closer on this. Actually see what we're doing. So let's actually have the fingers leading first, but they are going to split at one point. And then get a little bit of that curvature. In the arm. And the legs are going to kick back. So with the legs, let's see what they were doing. So they were coming up, then we're going to have them drag behind. Now, I might actually push this C shape so we get one clean curve in there. So actually, for this scenario, just to break the limbs, there are two ways I can approach this. I can either completely lock the legs and then use the FK bendy bones in here to reverse all of this. Might be able to do the job. It might not give me the exact shape I'm looking for, though. I think it sells the idea. It's just not as easy to curate as it would be if you're in FK. So let's reset all of this. We'll go with this for now. Again, I just want to play with the timing of it, and if I, depending on the timing and the spacing, will deter. Well, depending on the timing, if it feels like there's not enough time I need to read and I need to exaggerate more, then I may add some squash stretch or some multiples, like smears, all that kind of stuff. May do that if necessary, but I don't want to start with that. It really depends how tight I want my spacing to be. So in here, definitely want to get a contact. So I'm gonna in between. And then I need to snap the arms into their IK position. And I want the weight to already have come down. So the head's definitely going to be tucking in here. As will the neck. Then the elbows. Have to be careful of those. So they're going to be this way. Are they? Which way are they going to be? Yeah, they're this way. I think. They're kind of going to be a bit flat, I think. We're coming down, and then we're coming through. They need to go forward, they can't go back. I don't know. Which way would they be? This is really pulling my leg now. So they're going to come around. Would it be forward? This is really playing with my head. As I'm coming around, I'm lying down. I'm coming back. They're going to be behind my head. They're going to be pointing upwards. I think. There's a transition so that by the time we get to here, they're pointing back. I think that's why it's really playing with my head. It's almost like we're mid-transition of the hands coming back around on themselves. I think this is the direction they would be going in. I might be wrong. It's part of the in-between anyway, so we'll figure it out. So I'm just reading some of the comments here. Do we feel like at this point in the process, you stop caring about how the shot looks from every angle? You just care about how it looks from the camera? Yes and no. I think I try to keep the anatomy intact, but also because this shot is definitely more about feeling than it is the technicalities of it in terms of like anatomy. I try to keep the anatomy in place, but if I need to break something just for a breakdown, then I will. But I would avoid within my held key poses about breaking things too much. I try and do it to camera and keep my balance and everything right. So you can see that I am trying to think about the placement of the body, etc. But also sometimes you need to break stuff sometimes. So in here, Again, there's something weird with that leg stretchy. It keeps turning off. It needs to remain on. Just making sure it's on throughout all these keys. I guess at some point during the process it changed. So it's coming around, we tuck in, we land. Now these legs, is this the one that tucks under? This is the one that lands forwards. Now, because that one comes under, I actually want to keep this one close to the body. And then make sure we turn off the foot roll. Now I could work a bit more on the clarity here. Wonder if I stick this leg out further, then we can kind of read the other leg a bit more as we're coming through. I think I need to unbend the spine to help connect with the legs. Then this foot can come forward. This one's definitely a tricky one, trying to get all this working. Try and angle the head a little bit more to camera so we read her face. I don't like how this elbow's poking out. We can maybe simplify that. So maybe I can just tuck that elbow in a bit more, almost hide it through the transition, just so we don't need to read it at this stage. So it might be worth just hiding it all together. Let's try something like this for now. So then we come in, we land, and then come through. And then because there's such a big spacing on this landing, this would be a good opportunity for like adding smears and that kind of stuff. But we're getting some nice drag. That's the main thing. And then through here, I can ease out of this roll a bit more. And then we're going into the push-off. So we're leading through with the chest, keeping the foot planting to the ground. Same for all this foot here. We can keep those arms behind. They do switch to FK, which I like that it's changed that for me already. So now I can begin to add the nice straights on the hands. So it comes round, swings, catches, and lands. I want to see how that feels. So what I'm going to do is I'll play blast this. Obviously at this stage, I haven't animated the robot, but I just want to see the timing and the rhythm of her, and we'll see how it feels. So I'll just save, and then we'll play blast. There was something about the pickers as well. I saw that a moment ago. The picker is one that I've built myself. So this was based off of a layout which, when I was working at Moon Studios, there was one of our like senior animators who's called Daniel Piche, and he built a picker very similar to this that was based on a layout that he used whilst he was working at Disney, and he just liked the layout. So it's not exactly the same as what he built, but it's similar. So this is Dreamwall Picker. So I have a template that I use, and then I build like extremities or additions to the rig where necessary. So like my actual base, my template looks like this. So this is like my template rig. And then I'm adding additional controls and functionality based on the rig I'm working with. So you can see this one doesn't have those panels on the side, but these are specifically for visibility controls and for FK-IK switching. All like the space switching on the rig is in one control on this rig. So you're kind of making them as you go, but I like the template to build from. And I liked the way it worked. I liked his access. Like I liked the way everything was intuitive and color coded and sized based on priority, easy to select. So I kind of take this with me everywhere now. If I go on a new production, I build a picker like this, and unless they already have their own version, like where I'm working right now at Blur, they have their own picker version, and they have already someone build the pickers for you, and it works pretty well. I liked what they did, so I didn't feel the incentive to make my own one. But yeah, that might always be the case. So yeah, this is the one that I've built, but if you would like access to it, I can share it. Like it's not a secret, disclosed thing. But it's specifically to this rig. I will say that. So if you want to use this rig, you can. I can't remember if it's free or not. It might not be. But if you're interested in where I got this rig from, I can send you a link. And then if you are interested, maybe just message me on one of my socials about the picker, and I'll send you a file. I do feel like this composition right now, I'm not quite feeling. She's so tucked in that top left third, and we're not really using much of the space on the screen right here at this stage. So I'm tempted to shift everything a little bit to the left. And then as we transition down, then I'll have it like truck over to the right. Because all of this action is very left third right now. And then here, now we're displaying the right side. So I think I need to make that transition a little bit more gradual, rather than hitting on one side, then kind of isolating to that area. It's been bothering me for ages. Cool, so let's play this and we'll see how it feels. It's working fairly well, but I think it needs to be tighter. So the timing and the rhythm of it feels quite progressive and slow right now, and I think that's just because naturally that's the way I animate. Like I'm always trying to consider the physics of like in a lot of the cases, but for this specifically, I think it needs to be tighter. So to get that like punchy rhythmic feel, I almost need to kind of exclude my my physics a little bit and retime it. So let's have a look. In here, let's hang in the top. So let's just ease in so we get a little bit of an apex in here. And then I'll hold back this leg so it stays in the air for a bit longer. There you go, like that. Adding a little bit of overlap and follow through. And then here, that's a bit tighter now. Da, da, da. I think this needs to be faster. So in here, so we'll make this a lot faster and hang in the apex. It's a little faster. And then maybe a little later. Sorry, I'm thinking about it in my head, so that's why I'm being quiet. So let's ease into this. Get a little bit of that apex going. Maybe we can delay this leg. And then I can already begin to ease out the spine a little bit more. And then we can have these arms follow through. Which I wanted anyway. I wanted to feel that follow through come through in the arms as a bit more isolated. Thinking about the shoulder connections, the wrists. Then as we're coming through, let's ease this out. I almost need to keep the root up. Here, still leave through more with the spine. And then let's ease this out as well, because it's going to be the breakdown. Then we're coming through, we're leading down with the arms. Let's kick the legs out. Let's see how that feels. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. So replay blast and see how this section feels now. So I've just slightly retimed to make the beats where we hit the apexes, we're favoring them a lot faster, and then we're spending more time like in holding in the key poses on the rhythms, and then in the breakdowns they're a lot faster and tighter. So we'll see how it feels. And then once we get into the once we've blocked out the whole shot, we can get to that stage then where we can begin to rework some of the in-betweens. We can exaggerate things a bit more if we need to. It'll figure itself out as we're going through. I think you'll kind of see, because the timing is so adamant. Like a lot of this shot, the timing is already kind of pre-established, predetermined, and so we have to work our posing and our breakdowns and our in-betweens all to the timing of the shot because we're hitting certain rhythms. So that's the fun challenge, where Sometimes we won't need to exaggerate, and other times we will. So yeah, we'll play it by ear as we go through, and do what the shot needs us to do. But yeah, we'll see how this feels now. That feels better. You see that hang, and then the at the end is kind of like where we're rolling out of it, and you come out. I think we might even be able to make that faster at the end as well. So the roll and run up is going to be quicker. In here. So this can be earlier. Yeah, something like this. So it's going to be quite fast that we roll out and climb up the shoulders, climb up his body, and then we're going to spend more time in the hang, the whoop, oof, kind of feeling. I think that'd be really cool. So she's going to get up to the, she's going to kind of like stand onto his shoulders, hold like one leg onto this platform here, and then she's going to use that to hang up, hold, and then go whoop, oof, kind of thing, and kick his head off. So that's going to be fun. But I think that'll probably happen in the next stream. So I think what I might do is I might finish it here. I'll just play blast this so that we have something to work off of next time. But the next part will be fun, kind of getting that timing as we climb up the body. We may be able to get a little bit of that already, kind of integrate some of those connections on the robot as the weight comes onto his shoulder, and we get some of that stuff working. And there'll be the hold, kick, and then the head goes flying off. But yeah, I'm quite happy with this part of the process. I'm calling that, like, this is arguably like already a blocking plus kind of state, where I want to make sure that as I'm improvising this stuff, the beats are and the actual mechanics are still going to work, so that way I'm not wasting my time. But I think it's working pretty well. Yeah, I'm happy with it. Yeah, we'll play it. We'll keep it as this for now, but I think that's where I'm going to leave it. So I don't intend to do crazy long streams or anything like that. We've been going, I don't know how long we've actually been going for. How long? Just it's usually around 2-hour mark. Otherwise I get too tired, and I want to keep myself paced so that I can do this a little bit more consistently for you guys. And I feel motivated to do it more at the moment. So, whilst I have that motivation, let's keep it up. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope that you've enjoyed what we've come up with today, and hopefully see you in the next one. And subscribe, and regardless of which social that you've found me through, be it through LinkedIn, Instagram, or X. Yeah, just keep a lookout for the posts, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one too. But in the meantime, take care, and thank you for saying hi in the chat, and yeah, see you in the next one.